And away we go. It's the nightcap. Well, it's Friday afternoon, so it's kind of like day drinking at this time, but you get the point. Brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, located in Cheviot. They're right on Harrison Avenue. They're in the Dora District. You can walk from bar to bar with your drinks. But why would you do that? You can stay at Hail Mary's, where they've got 27 TVs, including a 9-screen video wall. There's not a bad seat in the house, and they subscribe to every sports package DirecTV offers, so you can stream all the games. Plus, Cincinnati sports will always be on the video wall. Tomorrow, Bearcats, Jayhawks. If you can't make it down to Fifth Third Arena, stop by Hail Mary's. They'll get you taken care of. Brand new walk-in cooler, brand new draft lines. And not only can you get the coldest beer around, but you can get a Cincy Light. The coldest Cincy Light you've ever had, and a 32.8-degree beer frosted glass. Go see our good friends at Hail Mary's. Check out the Bearcats and the Jayhawks on Saturday at 2 p.m. All right, we just a slight schedule change, but that's okay. We're getting you you're talking about Talkin. Wes talked to the media yesterday, and then we'll talk a little Kansas to get you ready for the Jayhawks. Aaron, have you seen the line? What would you guess the line is if you haven't seen it?
Saw it, so it's not fair, but my jaw hit the floor. I'm not touching it. I should have hammered
by 1.5.
Should have hammered Kansas because I smart money would, but I don't bet against the Bearcats.
Hey, sometimes we look at those lines and they don't make any sense, and then at the end we go, huh, Vegas is smarter than we thought they were.
No, the refs anyway.
Talk about Talkin. Wes spoke to the media yesterday. Aaron, what do you got?
There's plenty here. I felt like this has probably been the most real he's been in a midweek presser.
We asked the tough questions, Aaron. The tough questions. I asked the tough questions.
It didn't feel like so much coach speak. I feel like oftentimes he's a lot of coach speak. Maybe it was the ridiculous bubble jacket from the Missy Misdemeanor music video forever ago.
Wasn't it a vest?
Yeah, it was a vest. I don't know. It was absurd.
Bubble vest.
It was distracting, if I'm being completely honest. I could not stop looking at it. Anyway, no special secrets. Just have to get back to work. Going to always have tough stretches. So this is one of those tough stretches. Odd. I see some teams that don't have tough stretches like this, but sure. The will, the want, and the mind. The will, the want, and the mindset.
Like this, unless you're one of the elite teams, you will have a tough stretch or two in your season.
Well, that's different than always. Let's be an elite team. Put your back against the wall. I want to see it. The will, the want, and the mindset is still there after film sessions post Waco. They got back super late because they had plane issues, not only on the way there, but also on the way home.
By super late, Wednesday afternoon at 1:00.
Yeah, super late.
They got to the plane, and I guess the plane was broken, so they had to stay in Waco Wednesday night or Tuesday night, and they didn't get out of there until like late mid-morning on Wednesday.
Nothing comes easy in order to become what you want to become. He was very philosophical in this one. Looking for higher quality shots and converting more in transition, which sounds like it's going to be difficult because Kansas thrives in putting pressure on you in transition. Possessions have been good with good shots, good with missed shots, all around bad. Possessions have been all over the place. So they're not.
I would agree.
They're not doing anything. They're not doing anything consistently. Is I think what he could have said quicker, but he went to describe every combination that you could have had with the possessions and shots. He said that they practice like a team that wants to go places, but he hasn't felt like that against Kansas State at all, or the first half against Baylor. I'd venture to say in all three games, but he has a better.
No, he said Kansas State, Baylor and the first half against Arizona. So we're at the second half against Arizona is the only thing he's been pleased with in conference play. I would agree.
I was not pleased in any of it, but defense was as poor as it's been against Baylor. Teams are being physical to the ball and rebounds, and that's been disappointing for him and his staff. Said that everyone has to be better. The head coach has to be better. The assistant coaches have to be better. All of the players. You cannot single out CMOS or Jizzle James or insert whatever player here. It is a combined effort that everyone has been not up to snuff, including himself. So he did take ownership there for all of those who are keeping score on head coaches taking ownership. That's a thing. You can play well and lose 3 straight in this conference, but this team has just been playing poorly. So they haven't been playing well to lose all 3 games. They've just been playing poorly. But you can still play well and still lose. So I think that's a way of saying you've lost close games. Let's try and play well and see what happens.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Said maybe the most awkward comment, but Jizzle is coming, as is everyone on this team, and that's what makes this whole damn thing fun. He wants to upset the naysayers. Right here. Kansas is a national championship contender with their depth and experience. They are as deep as there is at every single position. They are they have veterans at every position outside of Floyd Badunga. They put a lot of pressure on you, both in transition and at the rim. Got some towers down there, including Floyd Badunga, as we are all entirely too familiar with. And different teams are doing different things defensively. No one is doing the same thing. They're throwing stuff that they haven't seen on tape out, which I guess is about what he expects at this point.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that since yesterday. I wonder how much some of that too is, Aaron. Teams are new. Like, if you've got a veteran team that's played together for a while, like, you know who you are, you know what you do well.
You've established an identity. Yeah.
Yeah, you stick to your fundamental, like, core principles. On these teams where there's 3, 4, 5 transfers in the top 8 in their rotation, I would guess it takes probably half a season to figure out, okay, we're better when we cover screens like this, or we're better, playing our off-ball coverages like this. Like, there's probably going to be a lot more experimentation. And that's to say it's not just a Cincinnati thing. Like, coaches are going to have to figure that out because teams are going to do stuff they haven't really put a ton on tape because the team is new. There's no real, Kansas turned over a lot of that roster outside of their top 3 guys.
Well, you can make that same argument for several teams in this conference. Baylor,
of course,
had quite a bit of transition. West Virginia is finally. You could make the argument that there's now finally tape on West Virginia, at least enough tape
and
that
people are starting to figure them out a little bit, maybe. Uh-oh. I think we lost Aaron. Are you there? Okay, you're back. Can you hear me? Okay. You
I can hear you, but it's
and,
super laggy.
Yeah, you lagged out for a minute. What else you got? Keep going. Are you good? Are you done?
That was the end of the conference.
Okay. Just kind of getting a look into Kansas. A couple things define them. It's a little bit surprising to me. I knew they've played well on defense this year. They are number 4 in KenPom in defensive efficiency. For a team that's trying to find their way on offense, running into a top 5 defense is usually not a delightful recipe. They are 24th in the country in offensive efficiency. They are 49th in average possession length on offense, 343rd on average possession length on defense. So they're grinding you out on defense. They're getting out in transition. They're beating you down the floor. All things that Cincinnati has not done, except they've gotten, teams have been able to grind them out in their offense and slow them down. Kansas is doing that to people. Cincinnati struggled to get back in transition. Kansas is good at getting down the floor, getting an early look, and letting one of their guys take an early look. So that's a little bit of a concern. They're not a great offensive rebounding team. They are a great defensive rebounding team. They're 12th in the country in defensive rebounding percentage, 143rd in offensive rebounding percentage. So they're not going to get you on the offensive glass. The problem there is, Aaron, they make a ton of their shots, especially from two. They're, top 75 in 2-point percentage. They make, in their point distribution, almost 60% of their offense comes from 2-pointers. So Cincinnati better be ready in the paint, because they're going to get to the rim. They're going to throw it to Dickinson. When Flory's in, they're going to throw it to Flory. KJ Adams doesn't really score outside. So they're doing their damage from two. The interesting part, though, Aaron, when you look at their overall 3-point shooting numbers, Rylan Griffin is shooting it really well from three. They really don't have anybody like Zeke Mayo has been okay. And then DeJuan Harris has hit a couple, especially in Big 12 play. But other than that, they do not shoot a lot of threes. Griffin and Harris are their two guys that fire away.
And going back to rebounds, I'd argue that no one outside of Hunter Dickinson and I guess maybe Flory is rebounding at a really high clip. You got Hunter. No. Hunter averages 10.4. Maybe. He averages 4.4 a game. I wouldn't say it's a high clip.
It's come up. He's at 5.7 in the 3 Big 12 games. So at least it's a little more respectable there.
Well, Hunter Dickinson averaging 10.4, Flory averaging 5.2, and no one averaging. KJ Adams is at 4.4, and no one's above that. So I don't know that this team is necessarily a great rebounding team if you can box out Hunter Dickinson, if you can figure out how to stop Hunter Dickinson.
He definitely is the bulk of their rebounding prowess. What they average 40 rebounds a game, and 39. He gets 10.
Sure,
he gets 10 of them. So yeah, that guy's getting 25%. If you can hold him to 5 or 6, 7 rebounds instead of 11, you might be able to have a decent day on the glass. Yeah.
I know Dave. I know Dave was concerned. Dave's concerned about the KJ Adams game here, and I share that sentiment. Actually, I think he's been chomping at the bit this season. He hasn't had a breakout game, and we've seen Cincinnati give up that breakout game a couple different times this season already. So I'm a little nervous.
They've given up games where the other team's best player has played great.
Where
KJ
they
Adams
haven't.
Is their best player. KJ Adams is more their glue, their toughness, their glue guy. Their fans are ready to run him out of town. Like, they don't want him on the floor.
I'd take KJ Adams in a minute.
Just going back and especially looking like the talk during the West Virginia game where they lost the first half the other night against Arizona State, where Arizona State was up 6 at the half. Like, they are not happy with KJ Adams. He's not giving them a whole lot on offense. Like you said, his rebounding numbers aren't what you'd expect from him. And from last year, I love KJ Adams. Right. It just doesn't seem like he's having the type of year that you probably would have expected from him, especially, I mean, if you look at it, he's averaging, where the hell are the points? I hate when they
8.5.
Yeah. 8.5 and 4.4. Like that, I would have thought he would be having a bigger year. So
you'd expect him,
not like
you'd expect him to step up from what he did last season. Sure. That's where I'm at, which is why I'm concerned that this could be what kind of catapults him into having that type of season.
What I would say though is just in like matchup terms, Like where Dylan has had problems has been with those big, bulky, like
Right.
guys that can kind of back you down. Like KJ's not that. They're
No.
similar. Like they're pretty similar players, I think. So that could be an interesting matchup just in terms of like I don't
Right.
expect KJ Adams to physically overpower Dylan, which at 210, that if you're playing a 210-pound guy at the 4, when he faces a 240-pound guy, he's probably gonna get pushed around a little bit.
Well,
I don't know. I'm interested in that matchup.
You're going to see that type of matchup with Hunter and Aziz, right? Where Hunter's going to put Aziz around quite a bit. I'm curious.
He's going to try to get position.
Like, he's going to
I'd be way more worried about Hunter Dickinson, especially like they did a really good job on him last year in the fog. Like I think he only had 10 points.
He didn't have a large game, no.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll certainly be watching those. Those are two great matchups, though. As Aziz has been playing as well as anybody on this team through this weird stretch, and and you're looking to see signs of life out of Dylan, and if he can excel against KJ Adams defensively, you wonder what that can do for him offensively as far as that confidence goes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to keep an eye on Zeke Mayo on the 3-point line. You've got to keep an eye on Rylan Griffin on the 3-point line. They really don't have anybody else that's David Coit doesn't get quite the volume that those other two guys do. So that part is going to be, if you can keep them from shooting threes, then you make them rely on twos. Cincinnati generally has a pretty good 2-point defense. But let's be honest, Aaron. I just want to see this team come out and play like they mean it.
Their hair's on fire. Yeah, like we've been. I think that's been the thing missing. You haven't seen that juice. You haven't seen this team look like they want to win from buzzer to buzzer. They're not.
Casual.
They need that fight. They need that fight. I don't see the Clifton tough, that grit that we want to see out of Bearcats, at least not from buzzer to buzzer. We haven't seen that. We see it in spurts.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it in spurts. I want to see them dominate a whole game, or at least you don't even have to dominate, but just look like you want to win.
Don't look like the other team is the aggressor. Like that's what we've seen for 3 games. We've seen the other team be the quicker to loose balls and quicker into passing lanes and more aggressive in their offensive looks and their rhythm. Like just a bunch of stuff that like it doesn't add up. This team should have more fight than this.
I agree. They've done nothing to show us at this point that they're going to be that team. So I would love to see, it would be a whole different taste in my mouth if you're coming out that right out of the gate.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that's going to wrap it up. We'll see everybody at Fifth Third Arena tomorrow, 2:00, Bearcats, Jayhawks. Should be a good one. That is the nightcap or day drinking, whatever. Brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, live from the Cincy Light Studios, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!